Let's have a little good news, shall we? If you've been watching this program for any length of time, you know that since at least late last year, I have been sounding the alarm about the upcoming midterm elections this November. After all, if the Democrats capitalize on chaos and if historical precedent holds, then not only will the left take control of one or perhaps both houses of Congress, but also the entire Trump presidency agenda will come to a halt, with the nation put through the rigor of endless impeachment efforts as Democrats look to grandstand ahead of the crucial 2028 presidential election. Now, as I say, if history holds, Trump could be in trouble. I mean, since 1946, there have been 20 midterm elections. In 18 of them, the president's party lost seats in the House of Representatives. That's 90% of the midterm elections in the past 80 years. Frankly, not great odds. And Trump, who knows a thing about odds and casinos, well, he'll be well aware of that. But there is something else going on. The left is making bets of its own and putting all of their chips on creating chaos over immigration enforcement efforts in the hopes of replaying 2020, when Black Lives Matter riots, nominally in response to the death of George Floyd, were used to basically bully the electorate into voting for Joe Biden. Give your votes to the Democrats was the offer, and the violence will stop. How very Godfather of them. But guess what? The early odds are now starting to shorten. And it looks like the Democrats' big bet might not pay off. The latest Harvard-Harris poll has dropped, which was taken last week across the U.S., and it has some pretty interesting points in it. Trump's number one issue where he gets a majority approval rating is his handling of the anti-ICE protesters in Minnesota. And immigration has now gone up to the number two issue of concern for Americans. No wonder, given that it's become an article of faith on the left that not only does every single person on the planet have the right to settle in the U.S., according to Boston Mayor Michelle Wu.
Every person, every human being has the legal right to come to the United States and seek asylum or shelter.
But, well, as singer Billie Eilish told the Grammys this week, the U.S. itself isn't legitimate either.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
You heard the cheers. This is what now passes for gospel and orthodoxy on the left in the United States. A country that is apparently simultaneously stolen and illegitimate, as well as being the last best hope for any and every single person on the planet. Yeah, I know. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So what does it mean when it comes to the midterms later this year? Well, it means that things are actually closer than you might assume if you watch or read those outlets that have a vested interest in spreading the Trump is doomed narrative. In a generic political ballot, where likely voters, not registered voters, and in America there's a big difference there, in a contest among likely voters, the Democrats only have actually a slight advantage, 52 to 48, with immigration front of mind and the contest close. This suggests that Republicans actually should lean into this issue and not take the advice of the bedwetters in the party who think it's time to pull back on immigration enforcement and play nice. Because there's something else going on. Republican states are growing in population, which means they're going to get more seats in Congress and more votes in the all-important Electoral College.
Look at this. The biggest population growth this decade, all five of the states that Donald John Trump won in 2024. Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and of course the great state of Arizona, where I spent my New Year's Eve. I love those folks out in Prescott, Arizona. These were the biggest gainers in terms of population compared to the 2020 census.
So whatever the media says before the midterm elections, the fact is people are already voting with their feet. Who knew that living in high-crime, high-tax Democrat jurisdictions would be so unpopular? And according to projections from the census, Democrat states are set to lose 10 electoral votes, and Republicans are set to gain 9 at the next census. That's a big, big structural advantage. But there's one more element to this. For Republicans to win elections, those elections need to be fair. And election fairness, well, this is also a winning issue for the right. Because, again, no matter what the media says, pretty much everyone in the U.S. thinks it's a no-brainer to ask voters for ID when they go to vote. And despite Democrats saying it's racist to ask people to show ID because, I don't know, they think it might be hard for black people to get ID. I mean, who's being racist now? The fact is, this idea is almost universally popular with Americans. And again, a little bit of CNN, and I love playing these clips because, gosh, it must kill them.
Take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country.
Absolutely not, except with those people who, well, for whatever reason, think it's a bad idea, and I wonder why. Now, to fight this problem, Republicans are pushing something called the SAVE Act, which will demand voter ID and proof of citizenship, crucial there, to vote and not before time. This has Democrats like Chuck Schumer calling this, well, have a look at what he had to say.
Polling does suggest, there's a new Pew Research poll, that 95% of Republicans, but also 71% of Democrats like this idea. So why do you not?
It's Jim Crow 2.0. What they're trying to do here is the same thing that was done in the South for decades to prevent people of color from voting.
Ah, yes, Jim Crow 2.0, a reference to the old segregationist policies of the Old South. Well, luckily, that didn't stop Barack Obama voting back in the bad old days of 2012, when apparently he had to show voter ID to vote.
Oh, you bet you're right. Hold on. I got my driver's license. Here you go.
Look, voter ID is a no-brainer, as are citizenship checks, which have to go along with ID checks given the way states hand out driver's licenses to so-called undocumented aliens. If American democracy, the, quote, our democracy that the left loves to refer to, is to survive, people must have confidence in it.